after the conveyor belt has been placed, at least here. Yeah, if I'm going to put a junction down here, I would run the pipeline behind the sink. Maybe I'll have to do this with valves. Like, I'm gonna have to make it sort of a T-junction. Maybe there isn't anything wrong with me putting it like here, like up on this sledge, and then let's see, bring this out here. Connect it to the far one of these. And hang a junction here. That's better. All right. Well, that works for like the one half, even though it does come through the rock there. What's that? Oh, it's one of these things. Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog. Anyway. Now I'm going to have to, there we go. Connect that over here. Because if it's willing to take that direction, who am I to argue? And then connect the pipeline here and, yep, that works. And then I'll connect the last bit of this pipeline. Will it go all the way over to... Yes. Wait a minute. Okay. Yeah. For a second I thought those pipelines were actually merging or something, and I'm like, what? Now, a pump. I suspect I'm going to need it. Now to hook up the power. Again, doing it backwards. Going from the generators to the extractor. Okay, so there's 4 of those and 2 refineries. That's 6 things. I knew there had to be a way of connecting to that other generator. 4, 5. Six. Then I'm going to put... well, I can't exactly connect this to the sink. If I do, that'll just eat up the last connection. There we go. Okay, one of them over here. That's the other two refineries. Connect this to the sink. This to the... and I'm gonna have to get in closer to it. Pump. And this to the extractor. And then the last connection... we'll have to connect to the rest of the grid. I'm not exactly sure how... I suppose I can use this high tension cable again, or high tension power line. Is this a Mark II power line? Is it a Mark II power line for this? Now I can get by on just a Mark I. So the wire's just about too long. There. Maybe I should have upgraded that pole to Mark II and connected to it. Put some of this back so it doesn't take up space. Let's see how this is doing. Should be outputting 240. Yeah, there we go. 240 a minute. Which is being pumped by the pump. And crude is being refined in the refinery, and you can see the polymer coming out. Starting up. Isn't getting any. Oh, maybe it's because the entire pipe has to fill or something. Okay, there we go. About the rest of them. This has me wondering whether or not I should be using valves. I mean, this pipe is getting full, but... oh, here we go. This one's pretty full too. Okay, yeah, it's getting some. Why it's stopping there, I'm not sure. What I ought to do is use some valves here. So the limit should be 120, which means the other 120 goes here. This one too, 120. Okay, yeah, I think that's helping. There we go. This thing should be getting as much as it can handle here. Check the grid. The way that line is fluctuating, I think that's because of the geyser. The problem is it's fluctuating, it's not steady. There's the battery. What exactly it's doing there, I'm not sure. Regardless, I'm getting a good power boost here. Yeah, so I got, well, I guess at the minimum, I'd say a little under 9,000. Yeah. It practically doubled my power output. So, let me just check on the plastic here. I know I'm going to need rubber at some eventual point for all those turbo motors, but when that's done, I'll stop sinking it. Well, it's not enough to completely fill things, but I suppose it'll do. Especially since I got plastic stored up and I can just take that. I wanted to exactly fill up the there. Well, maybe I shouldn't exactly fill up the industrial storage container. Maybe half is good enough for now, and then later I can come back, see how it's doing supercomputer wise, and fill up the plastic for the supercomputers again. Or maybe for the high-speed connectors, because those need plastic. So, computers go here. Plastic goes there. it's gonna take a while for there to be enough plastic. These conveyor belts only ever move so fast, but yeah, eventually I'll get there. Already got 4 of these. Actually, there. I'll take these. Now, nuclear pasta is going to become something of an issue because I have to make so much of it. It's going to need its own factory, like its own dedicated factory. So what I'm afraid I'm going to have to do is take down the particle accelerator that I set up by the nuclear plant and use it only for production of nuclear farfalle. Welcome to Front of the Envelope Calculation Theater. 1,000 nuclear pasta. Now, that's a lot, and it's going to take a long time to make. So, because of this, I'm going to make a factory specifically for the production of nuclear pasta. But it's only going to produce 1,000 nuclear pasta, because I'm only going to supply it with enough materials to make 1,000 nuclear pasta. Now, I've done the calculations, and I'm going to need 1,000 computers, 500 oscillators, and 16,000 aluminum casings. All that's going to be fed into a manufacturer for radio controllers, because I'm going to need 1,000 of those. Now, the 1,000 radio controllers, the output of that manufacturer is going to be combined with 500 fused modular frames, and they'll be put into an assembler to make pressure conversion cubes with the assistance of production amplification via Summers loops. Now, the other half of this formula is the copper powder that I'm going to need. Now, naturally, I'm going to need 200,000 of it, but I can make it a little more quickly than I did than I made the 20,000 I needed before by overclocking everything more or less to the max. I've got 8 smelters. I've overclocked them to 2.5 times production. I've put a Mark III miner on the pure copper nodes and calibrated it to 600 a minute there. And I have converted the conveyor belts to what I need to handle the load. 600 splits to 2 streams of 300, split to 2 streams apiece of 150, and so on. And I merge them all into a constructor that takes the copper ingots and makes the powder out of them. And that had to be overclocked too, albeit not to the max, only to double what it's capable of running. But that produces copper powder at 100 a minute, which is exactly what is needed by the particle accelerator. So yeah, I'm storing it in a box to use as kind of a buffer, but I'm going to take the output of that box and the output of the pressure conversion cube assembler and combine it in a particle accelerator for nuclear pasta and put the output of that accelerator into a box. And when that box has 1,000 nuclear pasta in it, then I'll be finished with that part of phase 5 and I can deliver it to the space elevator. Well, here it is. factory strictly for making nuclear macaroni. Let me just put the box at the output so that it'll have somewhere to be stored. There we go. Now I've already started this going just a bit. Nuclear pasta takes two things: 200 copper powder and a pressure conversion cube. Now the copper powder is easy. I'm using my old setup with a bit of adjustments. But the pressure conversion cubes, well, you can make them in an assembler, which I've adjusted downward with underclocking and upward with a summer slip to save on materials. So that way I can get it at 1 every 2 minutes, just like, which is exactly in step with the rate of production of nuclear pasta. Now pressure conversion cubes require fused modular frames and radio control units like those two there. So, as far as the copper powder is concerned, all I really did was overclock the whole setup to 250%. Except here where I used a Miner Mark III, and at the constructor at the end where it only needed to be overclocked to 200%. So it's dig out copper ore at 600 a minute. I had to use a Mark V conveyor belt. Then we split that in two to get 300 a minute each way. Split those in two to get 150 a minute each way, and each of those in two to get 75 a minute, as you can see here. And with the copper ingots, it's the same, but with mergers. 75 a minute can merge to 150 a minute, merge to 300 a minute, merged eventually to 600 a minute in this constructor here. And I have an industrial container as a buffer zone. I already had some in it. And, well, it still hasn't made a pressure conversion cube. Those do take a while, especially since I'm trying to sync them up to the same rate of production as nuclear pasta itself. However, instead of 1 every 2 minutes, it's going to be 2 every 4 minutes. Meaning that this thing is going to take 4 minutes to run through a production cycle. Now, I don't have everything in here. I mean, I need 500 fused modular frames. I only have 250. And for each of these, I need 1,000 computers, 500 oscillators, although I have 300, and almost 2 entire boxes full of 2 entire industrial boxes full of aluminum casings. I did the calculations, you see. That is why I have a hypertube extension leading here. Well, now that I'm finally finished with that, maybe I ought to start making time crystals.